Today I'm going to be drawing this cheetah in graphite. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. Today's demonstration is this cheetah that I have drawn in graphite. I worked on Stonehenge's vellum paper. My reference photo comes from wildlifereferencephotos.com. If you are supporters over on Patreon, make sure to head over there where the 1-hour version of this tutorial is available for you guys now, complete with voiceover. Now let's get on to this tutorial. My first tip, and probably the most important in this entire video, is start with an accurate drawing. If your outline is not correct, it is not going to get any better once you start shading, so make sure that everything is perfect before you ever start. Now for the shading in the background, you'll notice that those spots are not very detailed. I don't want a lot of contrast there. I want them very, very soft. I don't want a lot of detail or definition because that area is supposed to be slightly blurred out, and so I've smudged it a bit with a blending stump. The lead in my pencil is AN4B lead, and good luck finding that. I think I bought the rest of them that were available on eBay. I don't think the company makes it anymore because they have upgraded, or I don't know what the deal is, but they don't have that one anymore. They still have the AN3B lead, and this is the hi-polymer lead, not the stein. The stein is not the same and is not going to give you anywhere near the same results. But you can see how dark this lead is getting. My blacks are truly, truly black, even with just using graphite. So that is one of my favorite leads, and I'm going to have to start looking for a replacement since I can't get it anymore. But I've started by going through here and adding spots all over the cheetah. I made sure that those spots, the little brush marks or hair marks, are going in the right direction. I cannot stress that enough. The paper that is under my hand is glassine. That is keeping me from smudging graphite where I don't want it. I'm just slowly building up and getting this area darker and darker. If you're using a value finder, this is really helpful when you're working in black and white like this, because throughout this I kept thinking that I didn't have my darks dark enough, or I had them too dark, I should say. The parts over the light areas, not the spots, but the actual, like the tan areas of the cheetah, I felt were too dark, and really they weren't dark enough. I had to continuously go back and darken them even more. Plus, I want to darken them a little bit more than I'm going to need so I can come back through with an eraser to build up even more of the fur texture. So still using that mechanical pencil with that AN4B lead, I'm taking a kneaded eraser and lightly pulling up some of the areas of fur just to create that texture. I'll come back through with my tombow mono eraser, which if you don't have one, you definitely need to pick one up. They are amazing for getting the little fine detail and fine hairs when you're working in graphite. But here, I don't want my hairs to be too defined or too thin, so that's why I'm using the kneaded eraser instead of the tombow mono eraser everywhere. I will come back through with that tombow mono eraser. Every time you see me right there with that silver pencil, or silver, that looks like a pen, that's the tombow mono eraser. After pulling up a lot of the lighter areas of the fur, I also come back through with my pencils and add in darker strands of fur into that to create that texture of fur. Moving on to the eye, I've started by outlining everything really dark where the darkest areas are going to be, and then I shaded the inside with a shading tool, and then came back through with finer detail with both my mono tombow eraser and the pencils themselves. I like to block in my very darkest areas first, and then come back through with my mid-range tones. It makes it a lot easier for me to judge my values if I get those darkest portions in first. So onto the ear. Now when you're doing ears, whether it be a cat or a dog, any animal, spend some extra time there because it's really easy to want to rush over it because, you know, they're a little boring, not going to lie. It's my least favorite part to draw, but it makes a big difference in the end result. If you skip over the ear and don't put on all the detail that it really needs, it's going to bring down your entire piece. So spend that time, get all those little teeny lines and little teeny details in there. Onto all of the little spots here. Again, I'm paying very close attention to the direction of the fur as I draw these in. You don't want a bunch of random lines all over the place. If you're just putting lines to make detail, it's not going to be right unless the detail is going in the right direction. Make sure that it's correct. Just like the other fur, I shaded over it with a blending stump, and then I come back through with the mono tombow eraser to create more texture in that fur, and then the pencils themselves in between that. And this piece took me about 3 days of working nonstop on it. So don't rush your work. This is not as quick as it looks in these videos. pay very, very close attention to your reference photo. Again, this reference photo comes from wildlifereferencephotos.com, so if you want to draw it yourself, you can pick that up over there. The link will be below in the video description. So now that I've got the face mostly done, I'm coming back through and finishing up final detail. This is where I continuously back up away from my piece to decide what it needs. Does a certain area need to be lighter or darker? Do I need more detail or less detail in any area? But I want to keep backing up and really giving it a good look before I call it finished. It's really easy at this stage to say, yep, it's done, but it just needs that little bit more work to really make it pop. In all of this here, I'm just paying close attention to that reference photo, making sure that my lines are going in the right direction and that they're the right length, the right value, and the right contrast. It's all about copying what you see. And a lot of that is just going to take practice. One thing that I learned a while back was when I think something's done, stop working on it, wait a day, and then come back and do more work on it, because chances are you can find more stuff to make it look even better. One thing that you'll see me do a couple times throughout this is it looks like I've got an area with tons of detail, and then I smudge it all out with my blending stump. I'm not getting rid of all of the detail when I do that. What I'm doing is softening it up, and then I'll come back and add a little bit more detail on top of that. And what's happening here is I'm creating more depth and doing things in that order, softening my first layers and then adding a little bit more detail on top. So those previous layers that had so much detail that I softened out, it's very subtle. You can see them, they're there. It's just so much more subtle and so much softer, so that I've got more depth with things in the background of that fur or deeper in are just a lot softer, and then that finer detail up close. And I'll do that several times. When I'm done, I will use my Tombow mono eraser to pull out some of the whiskers, and then I underlined some of the whiskers as well just to make them a little bit more defined. And that is it for this guy. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Again, if you are supporters over on Patreon, make sure to head over there where the 1-hour version of this tutorial, complete with voiceover, is available for you now. If you're new to my channel, I have new video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings or drawings. My own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday. Forgot what day. Social media tips for artists, or sometimes just your Q&As every Thursday, and artist vlogs every weekend. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Google+. All of those social media sites are linked below in the video description. You can keep up with news, my newest work, and see real-time clips of whatever it is I'm currently working on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Nope, cheetah's still faster. Good try though.